What's new on Grab It TV? Absolutely everything. We've got daily news shows, sports, weather, comedy, inspirational shows, fast cars, and a whole lot more. If you aren't watching Grab It TV, you're really missing out. It's free for you and free from censorship. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
Hello, and welcome to Super Wildcard Weekend in the National Football League. You are watching World of Matchups, and my name is Dexter Reed. I am your host this week and every week during the National Football League season, breaking down every single matchup in the National Football League year in and year out. Coming to you live and direct from the Grab It Television studios in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. To my right, a man that needs no introduction anywhere in the civilized free world, our producer extraordinaire, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Spencer the Wiz. Spencer, say what's up to everybody, man.
Can I just say how much I appreciate that it's playoff football? And like normally, like I talked to you before the show, week 6 is when I know my team ain't making the playoffs. And now I not only are they, I mean, like they were like putting themselves in position to make the playoffs, which is new to me. They are in.
They are in.
I have something to look forward to on the first playoff weekend. Whether or not they win is a whole different question. And also, I got 901 represent right now. John Morant killing it for the Memphis Grizzlies. Franchise record 11 straight wins. So I'm on cloud 9 right now.
Spencer is happier than a pig in a whole pile of poop right now. He's smiling from ear to ear. So let's get down to it. Albeit playoff week, there's still lots of information flooding in and out of the National Football League, and we'd be remiss if we didn't bring it to you before we started breaking everything down. So let's get down to business with the quick hitters, all right? First things first. The Indianapolis Colts. My goodness. Has there been a worse crumbling to end the season than the 2021 Indianapolis Colts? They lose at home to the Raiders. Then they turn around and they fly to Jacksonville, where all they needed to do was win this game, and they stink up the joint. They make Trevor Lawrence look like Joe Montana, and they are out of the playoffs. How did this happen? I can tell you how this happened. They played scared. Carson Wentz is a bum. Now there's rumblings that they may not even bring this guy back, Spencer. Your thoughts on the exit for the Indianapolis Colts?
I mean, it's just no pride. I don't know. They just didn't play with the energy that you need to. I just thought I guess they're just like, hey, it's just the Jacksonville Jaguars. Guess we'll win. And we've clowned the Jacksonville Jaguars, deservedly so, throughout the season. But at the end of the day, these are NFL players, and they want to win every football game.
Yep.
And I think that's what was shown on that Sunday, not Super Bowl Sunday.
It was Jacksonville's Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's pride.
And the funny thing is that in their last 6 trips to Jacksonville, the Indianapolis Colts were 0-6. So usually when you hear a stat like that, you're like, well, here we go. We're going to break that streak. And they looked terrible. How does a team with 7 Pro Bowl players find their way out of the playoffs? That franchise should be ashamed. That franchise needs to move on from Carson Wentz. There's a dummy out there that will give you a first-round pick for this guy and find themselves a winner. Because this out there, they've got a strong defense. They've got JT running the rock. Frank Reich is a decent coach. I told you this, Spencer, early in the year. And you're like, you just don't like Wentz. Well, I just don't like Wentz, but this guy is not a winner. And everywhere he goes is going to suffer. Next, game of the year. I don't care what anyone says. There were some great games this year, but the NFL got this right, whether it was staged to happen or not. Sunday Night Football was game of the year. Now, head coach of the Chargers, Mr. Brandon Staley, he cost his team a shot at making the playoffs here. It's really, really simple, okay? Look, they're down 15. The Chargers come all the way back, and Justin Herbert's a stud. I'm telling you right now, I've been saying this all year. The team might be fraudulent, but the player is all world. If I'm starting a team right now with a quarterback who's second year or a rookie, I'm taking Justin Herbert. They claw all the way back, okay? Raiders are driving for the win, and the Raiders honestly had no intention of winning this game. They were going to let that clock run right out. There was lollygagging on the line. There was no sense of urgency. And for some stupid reason, Coach Staley takes a timeout as if he thought like he would actually get the ball back and have a shot at winning. And what he indeed did was show the Raiders his hand when the Raiders were like, dude, man, we were showing you an act of good faith. We were going to tie this game and let you get in the playoffs. So now we're going to go out there, we're going to kick the field goal, and we're going to send you home. I could not believe the call he made, the BS excuse for making the call about something about run defense. Dude, Josh Jacobs was gashing you on the ground all game long. Okay? Your quarterback says, I never wanted to tie so bad. There's film of him saying this. There's clips everywhere of him saying, I would do anything for a tie right now. And then you go and you blow it. This is grounds for dismissal.
The end of that game was unreal. I mean, Josh Jacobs looked like Bo Jackson. I mean, it was obviously the game of the year, but, I think he really was. I think the initial decision was like, let's get the ball back and try to win this game. He says it was for run defense. They did change personnel, but I don't believe it in the moment, because if that was your real strategy, you would have called the timeout the second that Josh Jacobs hit the ground the play before.
Exactly.
Everyone got up and they were getting ready to call the next run play, and then he calls the timeout. That had nothing to do with run personnel.
Yeah,
nothing
I mean,
at all.
you're in the opponent's red zone. Like, what did you think? You're going to get the ball back and throw a 60-yard bomb, Hail Mary? Like, take the tie, bro. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the game, Austin Eckler's talking to one of the Raider players, and he's basically explaining to Eckler, like, look, man, we were about to kneel on this, bro. You know? He's like, really? You guys were going to run this out? And I was like, yeah, man, we were going to run it out. But your coach kind of screwed it. You know, and now you're home watching us play on Saturday. An absolutely boneheaded, egregious call. It just goes to show you that there are certain coaches in the National Football League that outthink themselves, that really need to have somebody advocating for them from the booth about some of the decisions that they make. And I know it was a split-second decision that he had to make, but you got to know there that, look, take the tie. Live to play another day. It was a gesture of good faith by Rich Bisaccia, and you blew it, and you deserve to be home.
How about going for it on your own 18-yard line? How about that decision, too?
You are
Come on.
First, you're inside your own 20, and you go for it on fourth down?
Even if it's inches, he's just...
You go for it on fourth down? The last time I saw that, Bill Belichick did it, and it didn't work then either versus Peyton Manning. What are you thinking about? And look, I'm all for having faith in your players, but there's certain things that you just don't do in a win and get in playoff game. It's absolutely egregious. And my friend Mike Alexander, who's been on the show, I'm gonna bite off my friend Mike here for a second here, because the Angry Degenerate, go check out his podcast. It's Pure Flames. He said, if Raiders are gonna Raider, and we're going to coin that phrase, it's time that Chargers are going to Charger. It's time. This team has been finding ways to lose games now for what seems like years on top of years, going all the way back to Anthony Lynn. They lose games in the most horrific way. And if I'm Justin Herbert, I'm furious.
What about, you said Anthony Lynn, but how about all of those Phillip Rivers days? Wasn't there a botched field goal that Phillip Rivers was supposed to take the snap?
All these guys do is choke when it's time to win.
Mm.
If Raiders are going to Raider, Chargers are going to Charger.
It was the battle of those two.
That's all I have to say about that. I got no love for the Chargers, man, but I felt bad for those players. They are absolutely fraudulent, and it starts with their head coach. Next, speaking of the word fraudulent, this is absolutely coaching malpractice by the Giants with a ridiculous quarterback sneak on back-to-back plays inside of their 10-yard line. What are you doing? 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9, you're running a quarterback sneak? I don't think I've ever seen this in my life. I mean, I know the Giants are bad, but the Giants are the worst team in football. I will put the Giants on a neutral field with the Jags, the Lions, and the Jets, and I guarantee you they wouldn't beat any of those teams. What kind of coach pulls a play like this where you have that little faith in the quarterback who's back there that you're running a quarterback sneak? Not once, but then you double down and do it again. At home in front of your fans, he should have been fired on the sideline. Subsequently, the New York media is unrelenting. I've lived there for a long time, and they just will not stop until their voices are heard, and Joe Judge was eventually fired, which is a segue into the next. Okay, they finally fired this guy. Now, why it took so long, I don't know. How some of these other coaches got fired before this guy, I don't know. I think Joe Judge should have been fired before Matt Nagy. Joe Judge is abysmal.
Let's not forget that the Giants said they wanted to keep Joe Judge. They were ready to run it back.
Bro, 3 weeks ago, they came out saying the band is coming back. I said it even on a show last week. I'm just like in awe that they're actually bringing this team back together. Gettleman, Judge, Danny Dimes. Like, are you kidding me? This team is anemic. This team catch a cold. And then this happens this week. It just shows you how far Big Blue has fallen over the years. And the Super Bowl players of the 86 and 90s teams, they just have to be sick to their stomach watching this travesty take place in and off the field. It's unbelievable how bad it is, and they are the worst franchise in football. And that's a job that nobody's going to want. There's no amount of money that you could pay somebody to go to New York and try to turn that disaster around. Unbelievable. The fact that they did that told me that they didn't even really want to be out there. The Washington football team's not a good team. They went in your house. They clocked you upside the head. A disaster on all fronts. Joe Judge should never coach another day in the National Football League. Next, Giants GM Dave Gettleman. He retires. Now, look, that's just another way of saying, I know I was about to be canned. That's all that says. You know, all of a sudden he's like letting the gray hairs in his beard show. I'm old and frail. I'm tired. My wife is thinking I should hang it up. Bro, they were about to fire you after they fired Joe Judge. You guys were married at the hip, and so you retired. You know what the problem is with this? I thought about this too. I should have added this to the show, Spencer. Remember how they did Tom Coughlin? This is the Coughlin curse. You remember when Tom Coughlin was pushed out of New York after doing nothing but being great for them for years? And then he walks past Gettleman, I think it was Gettleman, I can't remember, or John Mara, had his hand out and he walked past the handshake. At that moment is when you knew the Giants were on their way down. A lot of people seem to think it's the boat picture with Odell, and Shepard and those guys. This is long before that. This is the Coughlin curse. And this is why the Giants are so bad right now. And look, when you have a good coach who's brought you to the Super Bowl, who's brought you to the playoffs, and done everything he could possibly do for you, and then you let him go in that egregious manner, you deserve everything that's coming to you right now. And I don't feel bad for the Giants at all. At all. I hope they fade into obscurity.
In my opinion, they're lucky to have had the success that they did, to have like an Eli Manning on their team, because they won those Super Bowls from the wild card position.
Yeah.
There was never a point in time where the Giants were like a great football team.
It was all about Eli, and he forced his way to New York. Imagine if that never happened. It could be San Diego with those rings instead of New York, and New York could be the laughingstock worse than the Jets.
We could be talking about an embarrassing, like a Texans embarrassing level franchise.
And that's what they are right now. Like I said, I'd put the Texans on a neutral field with the Giants right now, and I'd take the Texans 9 out of 10 times. The Giants are horrific. Next. This is one that really made me scratch my head, but I found out some information and it made me feel a little bit better about it. So the Texans, after a couple days of hemming and hawing, they fired Coach David Culley. 1-year coach, black guy, 66 years old. He was interim. They gave him a shot. Look, 4-13 with the Texans, I think, is a winning season. This team had nothing but dissension all year long. All year long. Horrible, okay? The whole Deshaun Watson nightmare. You lose Mark Ingram, you trade him. David Johnson's a bum. You get rid of Phillip Lindsay. I mean, all you had was Brandon Cooks. And what he did with Davis Mills, look, Davis Mills is not that bad. I'm going to go on record right now and say this. Davis Mills is better than Tua.
Whoo, that's a hot take. That's like a bomb hot take.
It just got hot in here.
Man.
It just got hot in here. Okay? Go look what Davis Mills did this year and get back to me. And David Culley, I think, did a pretty good job with this team, only to be fired. Now, my question is, why would you bring this guy in for one season, give him $22 million guaranteed, and then fire him? David Culley is laughing all the way to the bank. The guy just made $22 million for 1 year. Now, there's got to be something else going on the low. I'm going to talk about that in a second. They obviously had a plan within the plan, but he got a raw deal. I think he deserved a better shot. Spencer, please tell the people what you just said about being a black coach in the National Football League.
It's funny, if you have a losing season, because there's another guy coming up here in just a second who also lost his job in a losing season after being a great coach. If you're a black coach, you have a losing season, you're done. Mike Tomlin almost had a losing season, literally one of the best coaches like in the history of the game, and people wanted him out of Pittsburgh immediately.
Yeah. And look, World of Matchups is not over here screaming racism, so don't get us wrong, but the facts are the facts. I mean, there have been plenty of black coaches like Hugh Jackson who have stayed in the NFL long past when he should have stayed. And there's been plenty of white coaches like Marty Schottenheimer who went 14-2 who were fired. But the facts are the facts. You know what I mean? You have to look at some of these things that are happening. Mike Tomlin being the only black head coach in the National Football League right now, based on the jobs that some of these other black coaches have done, is it's unwarranted. It's an absolute joke, quite frankly. And and the Rooney Rule and things like that are just there to appease minorities. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, I'm not going to back down from going in on the NFL now. We've been doing this for 18 weeks. I'm only just going to double down on everything I'm saying. And Roger Goodell has nothing to ever say about any of these things. Next, this one pissed me off when the Dolphins fired Brian Flores. Pissed me off. Now, I did some digging. And I found out that it's a power struggle between the coach, the quarterback, and the GM. It's a power struggle, okay? Brian Flores did nothing but win 16 games in the last 2 years with a really not great Miami ball club. Galvanized them after going 1-7 to go 7-7, 8-7. Only mopped up the GOAT, Bill Belichick, for the second straight year in a row to be served as walking papers. Now, is the guy a little arrogant? Yeah. Is he a little brash? Yeah, but that's his coaching style. No one had a problem with Bill Parcells. Not a person. Now Brian Flores is on the street. Rob DeRaider said it, so I'm going to throw him his flowers. He said that Flores was let go and Culley was let go, and now Flores is going to be the coach of the Texans. I pretty much write it down because Flores wanted Deshaun Watson in Miami. And that whole thing was problematic for them as well. So, was it because he was black? I don't think so. Was it because there was a power struggle? More times than not. Probably the two things piggybacked off each other. He is not really a likable guy, but the coach is not there to be liked. The coach is there to win. And if we're looking at his performance, what he did wearing the Dolphins colors, there's no way this guy should be looking for a job. Your thoughts, Spencer?
Yeah, it's about respect, too, more than anything for a head coach. Like, when you look at Bill Belichick, he's not a great guy. I mean, I'm sure he's fine. But you know what I mean? He's not – his coaching style, he's not a friendly dude.
He's not a media-friendly guy.
Yeah, and, Flores isn't either. But he got respect. Like, people know, like, him, and they respect his, what he does on the field. And that's what a head coach does more than anything, because when you look at Mike Tomlin, especially another coach, he's not an offensive mind. He had never called a single play for Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. But he's got guys around him who do that. But when it comes to the locker room, they listen to what he has to say.
Everything he has to say. The law is the law. And I think that's what you need in the National Football League. I'm not saying we got to treat this like college football coaches treat college players, but those men need to know who the leader is. And I think Brian Flores, I think David Culley, I think both these guys got raw deals. And I think it's a shame. Because let's not act like the Miami Dolphins are some, amazing spot to go. Who are they going to now go get that's going to be better than Brian Flores? I don't understand this move. I think it's problematic. But again, when you're the GM, when you're the owner, you can do whatever you want. And so they did what they wanted, and this is another team that I hope just stinks now. I hope they win 3 games. I hope they rue the day that they got rid of Brian Flores. I really do.
They definitely outperformed where they should have been.
Are you kidding me?
Especially last year, considering, you got an old geezer at quarterback and you went to the playoffs. That is outperforming.
Ryan Fitzpatrick led that team in rushing last year.
Yeah.
Look what they've given this guy.
What else do you need to say?
Look what they've given him. And this guy performed week in and week out. And you can him. Boy, job security is a thing of the past. And keeping your job is the new race. It really is. Next, Vikings, they fire HC Mike Zimmer, and they got rid of GM Rick Spielman, too. This one was a little surprising. I think the guy should have probably deserved at least another year. What have they given them? They're all offense, no defense. They have no defensive stars. So if they don't win 45 to 44, they lose. Now, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of responding coming from the team to the coach. Maybe they were mad because his girlfriend is hot. I don't know, but they clean house there. This is a spot that I like for a specific coach we'll talk about here in a minute, because the Vikings, they've got ballers. Dalvin Cook, baller. Justin Jefferson, stud. They got decent players. They got good pieces. Alexander Mattison, they should just trade that guy for defense. Alexander Mattison on a team that needs a running back is 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
The Chiefs would probably trade for Alexander Mattison.
The Chiefs, they'll probably end up bringing in another Dave Meggett type player, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, you see what I mean? I don't understand what they were doing, but either way, those guys got the broom and were shown the door. That's going to be an interesting spot for someone to go. I could definitely see two coaches, a OC right now and a DC that just got fired. If they join forces and go to Minnesota, they are going to be a problem. Next, the Bears. Finally, the heavens opened up. Jesus reached down and gave the Bears brass a set of balls and said, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. No more, no more, no more. Your Chicago visa has been revoked. You should never be allowed to set foot anywhere in Illinois ever again. Matt Nagy, your career should be over. But sure enough, someone will give this guy a job. He did an absolutely horrific job with the Chicago Bears, and he is now done. That's a good spot for someone to go. Justin Fields is a good player. They got a decent defense. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that Bears job. But finally, for all things that were holy, Matt Nagy went bye-bye. Next, Leonard Fournette is going to be activated from IR for Sunday's game versus the Eagles, okay? Rojo, Ronald Jones, is on the other side of doubtful. This is good news for a Tampa Bay team that's been limping into the playoffs with a lot of dissension, the Antonio Brown thing. They needed some good news, and here it is. Brady needs Fournette. Brady cannot just drop back and throw the ball 50 times in this year's playoffs. They're going to have somebody that can control the clock, and it sounds like Fournette is ready. I think Fournette is an underrated player. I've been saying it for years. A lot of people want to look at his yards per carry as something that would bring him down, but this guy can catch the ball. He can pass protect. I think he's always been a stud. I even liked him when he was in Jacksonville. People give this guy a bad rap, and I just don't understand why. I think Tampa is going to be a lot better because he's going to be in the backfield this weekend, and I expect them to absolutely smash the Eagles. Next, got to bring you a little bit of NFL bad news, right? Because that's what we do. Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith arrested for suspicion of DUI early Monday morning. It is rumored that he was driving over 95 miles per hour prior to the arrest. Now, it's almost like, Henry Ruggs didn't happen.
Here's the thing. And I talked about this in the beginning of the season. I said if there is no consequences, they'll continue to do it. I could say, excuse me, Henry Ruggs is going to jail, so that's punishment. But in these guys' minds, they're like, oh, it's fine because I won't do that. Like, if you the act of the DUI has to be punished.
It has to be.
If you get caught drunk driving and you get community service,
it's ridiculous.
They'll think that's fine.
Yeah.
They'll just, in their mind, just like, I'm not going to drive. I'm not going to kill somebody, so I'll be fine. If I get pulled over, there will be no punishment. I'll just make sure I don't kill anybody.
There's just no.
There has to be the act itself has to be punished.
It has to be, man.
And it won't. I guarantee you, nothing will happen.
You're never going to hear about it again. There's zero accountability in the National Football
Nuts.
League. He'll be someone else's backup quarterback. He'll paint some walls and pick up some garbage if he even does that, and that'll be it. I mean, me, Dexter Reed, with a clean license and a clean record, I'm not on paper anywhere, thank God. If I'm driving 95 miles an hour and I catch a DUI, man, I'm catching a case here in Las Vegas. You better believe that. I'm calling 877-1500. I'm calling somebody. I'm calling knock v injury law. Someone is going to be representing me. There's going to be no slap on the wrist. And again, that's just how the American justice system works. I mean, again, not to get on my soapbox again, but the rules are different depending on who you are. The rich have their own set of rules. Sports figures have their own set of rules. And then the common folk like me and Spencer, we have our own set of rules. So I don't want to hear nothing about land of the free, home of the brave, fairness across the board, equality, because it's all a bunch of nonsense. So do yourself a favor, and before you even let it leave your mouth, shut up, because the playing field definitely ain't level. and it's definitely not level in the National Football League. Rant over. Next. Look, for all of you people that threatened a boycott a couple of years ago when the Colin Kaepernick thing came down and dudes started kneeling, look, we don't get into all that here at World of Matchups. At World of Matchups, we break down games. I might throw my opinion on the table every now and again, but look, the National Football League is being watched now more than ever. So if you think for a second because I'm boycotting that you're hurting somebody, you keep boycotting. Okay, this is the most worldwide watched show on television. You got people all over the world watching the National Football League. Sunday Night Football garnered more attention than anything President Biden has done on television all year long. The National Football League is not going anywhere. The best job in the world is being commissioner of the National Football League. It's not going anywhere. So if you want to hate on it, continue to hate because more of us are watching. Period. The end. All right. That's it for the quick hitters right now. Getting fired up because we know we're about to go into our Roast the Ref segment. But before we do that, we want to let you guys know that we are on social media all over the place. By now, you should know we've done 20-plus shows, but in case you don't know and you're a new watcher, we're everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have our own YouTube page where you can like, subscribe. You can go to grabit.com and fill out and get yourself signed up there. All it takes is an email address. There's a lot of great content on Grabit besides World of Matchups. But that way, when we send the information to the internet, it comes straight to you. You don't want to be left out in the cold wondering what's happening in the National Football League when you can have it with the touch of a button. Click your mouse, like, subscribe, show some love, and we'll show some back. All right. We're going to take a second. We're going to pay some bills, and we're going to come back, and we're going to show you what happened as far as misjudged calls and more nonsensical flags thrown all over the field of the gridiron in Week 18 when we roast the ref. Sponsored by Heroes Heating and Air. You've been watching World of Matchups. My name is Dexter Reed. We'll see you on the flip. All right, folks. You know what time it is. The shirt's on. The whistle is in hand. We are here to roast the refs. Let you know how awful these guys did last week. It wasn't as bad as weeks past, but it was pretty bad. Roasting the Refs, sponsored by Heroes Heating and Air, Medford, Oregon. Check them out for all your service needs at heroesheatingandair.com. First clip, let's roll. From Sunday Night Football. Zay Jones in the end zone. This was a flop job. They call this pass interference. This was 1st and goal. It gave the Raiders an opportunity to score, which they did. Now, it was a little bit of a flop and pretty suspect, but the real problem that I had with this call is pass interference has to be a catchable ball. Okay? Now, the circle on the screen shows you where the ball ended up, and the arrow on the screen shows you where the infraction took place. If that is called properly, that's not pass interference from the spot of the foul, and that's not 1st and goal, and maybe the Raiders don't score. If you watched this game, you knew how hotly contested this game was. Maybe the Raiders don't go up 15. Maybe the Chargers even win. Who knows? But either way, if you know the letter of the law for the rule book in the National Football League, the ball's got to be catchable. And not to mention, an Oscar should be given to Zay Jones for that flop job. Next. No taunting penalty here, okay? I don't understand how. Guys get taunting penalties for less. T.J. Watt going after the sack record, pointing at Baker Mayfield, jawing up a storm, pointing a little bit more. They're both going at it. Ref is right there. Ref is right there. Who is that ref, number 122? We'll find out a little bit about that guy's background. That guy better not live in Las Vegas. You call taunting all year. Taunting is speculative in the National Football League, and it is a ridiculous rule that should be thrown out the window. I'm going to call it right now. I think they're going to get rid of this, Spencer. What do you think? I think they should get rid of taunting in the National Football League.
Well, I mean, can't you – I hate to leave judgment up to referees, obviously, but can't you have common sense? Like, can't we throw that into the game? But if it's going to be this bad, judgment call-wise, then get rid of it.
Then just get rid of it because you haven't really gotten it right all year. You've called it on some. You haven't called it on others. And, I mean, he wasn't, like, charging Baker Mayfield trying to choke him, but CEH pointed and got that same call. You know, Bell in Cincinnati pointed at a guy, got that taunting pass. It's ridiculous, and they need to get rid of it, and they're not going to. Next. This was called unnecessary roughness. My goodness, this might be the worst call of the year. Just keep rolling it, Spencer. That's unnecessary roughness. Can you tell me why? Somebody tell me why this is unnecessary roughness. Did he even touch him? I don't think he did. Is he hurt? He got popped right up. No stretchers. No doctors come into the field. The NFL is soft. SOFT. They might as well play two-hand touch if you're going to make calls like this. What a pussified call this was. These refs are a bunch of kittens. My goodness. That is unnecessary roughness.
I mean, that was just... what can you say?
That might be the worst.
Just
call.
look at it.
That might be the worst.
And then the thing is, look, they're talking. You can see it on the screen. They're talking about it. It's like, what's the discussion?
What's the discussion, guys?
What you talking about? What you're gonna have for lunch or dinner, later tonight?
What Mary's making? Mary's making tacos tonight. You know, come over and tie one back with me. A bunch of good old boys.
Unreal.
A bunch of idiots, man. That was terrible. That was one of the worst roasted ref clips all year. This last one, could have gone either way, but I'll tell you why I threw it up there. This is T.J. Watt. They didn't call this a sack. Okay, I think it's a sack. Ended up being a forced fumble. He should have broken the record, albeit with an extra game for this one. They didn't give it to him. They even definitively went back and looked at it during the week and then said, we're still not giving it to him. And my thing is if Brett Favre lays down for Michael Strahan and gives Michael Strahan the record, they could have given him this sack. It could go either way. I like T.J. Watt. If you get this many sacks and still take 2 games off, you deserve to have that, and you deserve to have that record. I mean, if Brett Favre can give it to Strahan, why can't the league give it to him here? I think it was a sack. They obviously think otherwise. Either way, they've done a lousy job all year, and I need a new whistle just because of them. And that's all I got to say about that. Out. Welcome back, everybody. Roast the Ref. Boy, it wasn't that bad this week. My blood pressure's not boiling like it usually is. All right, guys, it's the time of the show where we talk about what you guys want to talk about with our mailbag Q&A. This week's questions coming in from my buddy Rob the Raider, Las Vegas, Nevada. 2 parts questions, okay? Who's the dark horse of this year's playoff teams? For me, it's easy. It's the San Francisco 49ers. I said this a couple weeks ago. I said the 49ers are a team that nobody wants to play. Whether Jimmy G is healthy or not, they still got Debo running the ball from the backfield, Debo catching the ball. Kittle is still going to be Kittle. Ayuk is still good. Shanahan calls good plays, and this team can stop the run. As long as they can hold the air attack at bay, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They won a big game last week versus L.A. Huge game. And now they're in. And they're playing a Dallas team at home who's lost some really bad games at home this year. Dallas lost to Arizona. They lost to Denver. They lost to the Raiders at home. This is a spot where if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm kind of biting my nails this week. And I tell you what, if San Francisco gets hot, they can go to the Super Bowl. Don't think for a second that they can't. They've done it before, and they've done it before pretty recently.
Who was going to get in if the 49ers lost? Who was that team on the outside looking in? Do you remember? Because I feel like the Cowboys would have.
Saints.
Yeah, I mean think about the difference between playing the Saints and the 49ers. That is a monumental gap.
Huge gap.
I mean,
let me tell you, the Niners been handling their business, man. Look, America's team, you guys better be ready because this Niner team is deadly. Next question. Does this season prove that having a franchise quarterback is probably the route to the playoffs? I think it is. I've always thought it is. If you've got multiple quarterbacks you're shuffling in, you've got no quarterbacks. Rest in peace, John Madden said that. I think that you need a pocket passer. You need a guy who can throw the ball downfield. You need a guy who can run. You need a guy who can stretch the field. You need a leader. You need all of that. You need it. Whether it's Patrick Mahomes or Trevor Lawrence, you need that. You cannot dink and dunk with these older quarterbacks. I mean, I know we've seen some of them do it, in the past, but today's NFL is a different game. You got to have a leader of men. I mean, look at Tom Brady. That's all you really need to know. I mean, who are some of the bum quarterbacks? Brad Johnson won a quarterback. Trent Dilfer won a quarterback. Won a Super Bowl. I get it. These quarterbacks have won Super Bowls, but they're I think the anomaly. I think in today's National Football League, you have to say, you're my guy. I'm drafting you. I'm building my team around you. I'm looking to you when things are going bad. You go lead these men. And if you don't have that, you're probably not going to win a Super Bowl.
It's most certainly possible, but I think it's like a 1 in 8 year kind of thing. Like that's how rare it happens.
It's
like maybe like
rare.
once a decade.
Yeah.
Think about Nick Foles, and you mentioned some of the other ones. Like it's physically possible, but if you look at the majority of Super Bowls, I'd say like at least 85%. Hall of Fame quarterbacks were the leaders of those teams, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think it's the route to the playoffs. It's the route to the Super Bowl, and if you don't have that, your percentages for actually picking up the chip at the end of the year are a lot less than a team that's going to have that. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks that are left right now in the National Football League. They're all franchise quarterbacks. They're all studs. This is wide open this year. It's anyone's league. I don't care who the favorite is. It is anyone's league. There's not a team right now that if they won the Super Bowl, you'd be like, oh my goodness. If the Raiders went to the Super Bowl and won it right now, I would not be surprised. They're a freight train right now playing with house money. Their chips are in the middle of the middle of the poker table. It's anyone's league. Why? They all have franchise quarterbacks. Next, should the GM be hired before the coach? Absolutely, in my mind. You know what I mean? You go to the bank and you withdraw the money before you go shopping. I think you need to have the figurehead for the figurehead. I think a lot of times when you don't have that package deal and you have dissension between one and the other, you see what happened with Brian Flores. You see that. You know what I mean? You got to have it. I mean, Kansas City is a perfect example of having it all together. You know, they got the right owner, they got the right GM, they got the right head coach, and they got the franchise quarterback. That's why you're probably going to see them go back to the AFC Championship game again and again and again. When you don't have those pieces and you have them working together as a unit, all of them knowing the role that they're in, it's going to be problematic. That stuff translates onto the field. I think guys that hire a coach before they hire a GM, you're putting the cart before the horse. You know what I mean? It's like putting on the rubber before you know you're going to get some. Like, know you're going to get some first. You know? And so I think that it should be a real tactical move, and especially when you have these situations right now where there's an open spot for a GM and a coach like New York. That's got to be a well-thought-through process. One has to be on team with the other. There can't be any dissension between the two, or else you're going to have a fractured foundation and not go anywhere where it matters. Next, you think owners treating their teams as toys or collectibles hurts the product? Danny O'Brien. I do. And there are owners who do this. We mentioned the words like, plantation and chess pieces, and no one really cares about the players. I think it matters a lot when you know that you have a owner that will come into the locker room and actually thank you for the job that you're doing. There are several owners in this league who are like that, several general managers who know their role, who will step in and be like, you know what, we really appreciate you guys. The guys who do off-the-field stuff for foundations with their players, you see a lot of this happening. And then you have just other owners that are just cut the check.
I'm telling you, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I kind of remember this. Do you remember, I think it was like 4 years ago, where they had a fantasy draft, but it was like a live auction draft and the players were there and they were like bidding on the players to be on their fantasy teams, and it looked like they were actually selling them.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I have to see if I can find that. I swear it's true. I swear.
Yeah, well, something like that you wouldn't just make up in your head. You heard it somewhere. So it probably is true. And if anyone can find it, Spencer the Wiz will, because no one digs deeper than this guy. But I think it matters. I know how I am at my job. People who feel appreciated work harder. Try harder. And when you have these owners that just cut the check and don't care, then their players are going to be like, well, they don't really care about me. They don't care about my family. You know what I mean? I'm doing a good job. No one cares. So they're not going to care. Week 18, all of a sudden, no one wants to play. Stuff like that. And so I think it does matter. You don't see it too often in the National Football League, but it is what it is. The owners can own the way they want to. I mean, look at Robert Kraft. Look at Clark Hunt. These guys, they're involved, but they're not overly involved like Jerry.
No, I found it, by the way. ESPN under criticism following skit where they auctioned off black NFL players.
Say that again, please.
This is an actual article. Is ESPN under this is in 2017, so I was pretty much right. ESPN under criticism following skit where they auction off black NFL players. I mean, it's not an official like NFL thing, but I mean, it pretty much is.
You know, and there's some of you out there that want to take issue with me and Spencer for some of the stuff that we say on this show. You know, but like the facts are the facts. Like some of this stuff really happens. You see, you're watching like ESPN and Fox Sports and Skip and Shannon and Undisputed, you know what I mean, and Colin Cowherd, and I'm not against any of those guys. I actually listen to a lot of those guys. You know, Sirius XM Radio, I love a lot of those guys. But the fact is that they are programmed to say and do certain things, and they're saying things that you're not ever going to hear about. You know what I mean? Whereas the little guy like me or the angry degenerate, you know what I mean, or the, you know, behind the tape podcast guys who I'm going to have on next week, like we get to say what's real and what is really being covered up and what we want to say. And you guys deserve to know the truth about what happens in the NFL. It's a fantastic product, but it is dirty as hell. And if you think for a second that it's not, you're bugging. Also by Danny, discuss. Oh, this was by me. This is by me, and I wanted to talk about this. Discuss who I think are the best coaching vacancies available. I want to put this on the table because there's 7 of them right now, you know, and that's a lot. That's a lot. There's only 32 teams. That's a decent percent. I think that there are 3 jobs right now that are better than any of the rest, and I think the first job is the Denver Bronco job. Denver is Super Bowl ready. If anybody watched that game, the last game of the season where it was the Denver Super Bowl versus Kansas City. Kansas City has beaten Denver 13 straight times. Denver beat Kansas City up in that game. They punched the Chiefs in the mouth. The Chiefs were lucky to win that game. And they did it with a terrible quarterback. A terrible quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater's awful. Who's that other bum? Drew Lock. But they made some moves this year that I didn't think made sense right away. It made sense. They got rid of Von Miller, got some picks. Surtain is good. You already know about Javonte and Melvin. Their O-line is good. Their D-line is good. They got great receivers that never get any love. They got decent tight end. Imagine Aaron Rodgers on Denver. That's a Super Bowl caliber team. Imagine Russell Wilson on Denver. If Brian Flores was smart, he would fight his way for the Denver job and go get himself a quarterback. That's the number 1 job I think available in the National Football League right now. A number 2 job that I think is available in the National Football League right now, I think is the Minnesota Vikings. You got a team that's halfway built. You just need somebody to go and help you get some players. Draft nothing but defense. Nothing but defense. And if Eric Bieniemy was smart, he would land there and he'd go get Vic Fangio, and the 2 of them would join forces and they would build a bully. Aaron Rodgers may be gone. He may be out of that division next year. Kirk Cousins had a decent year. Cook, Madison, Jefferson, Thielen. Get yourself a tight end in the draft.
That's what the Cowboys did.
Go get that job, Eric Bieniemy. I don't want to lose you, but the fact that you're still an OC for the Kansas City Chiefs after all this time, enough is enough, man. You deserve a job. That's a great job. And I think the third is a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think the Jacksonville Jaguars is a great job. A great job. Shad Khan is going to pay you like David Culley got paid. You're going to get paid. And there's going to be 0 expectations.
They're going to get Harbaugh. That's
0 expectations.
My
you don't have to win right away. You got tons of draft capital, tons of draft picks. You can build around Trevor Lawrence. Everybody will come back healthy next year. Etienne, Robinson. It's sunny and beautiful. Why wouldn't you want to go to Jacksonville?
The first overall pick in the draft. I mean, if you're a new head coach, it doesn't get better. You have a franchise quarterback and the first overall pick in the draft. That's like one of the best situations I can think of in football.
Sign me up, Jacksonville. Those are my top 3 jobs from World of Matchups. All right. Oh, man. It's time. We, my friends, are going to call in my good friend, Gold Booster, Mr. Dan O'Brien of Up Top Productions, and we are going to do our World of Matchups End of the Year Awards before we break these games down. And it's going to be glorious. We're excited to have him on. We're going to take a minute. We'll come right back. My name is Dexter Reed. You've been watching World of Matchups. Stay tuned and watch us hand out some hardware. Heroes Heating and Air are HVAC experts with great customer service and an unbeatable price point. They are certified Rheem heating and air conditioning equipment dealers in the Southern Oregon area, including Medford, Grants Pass, and Ashland. They offer free bids and estimates, 24-hour repair service, new installation and replacements, attractive maintenance agreements, and a senior citizen special with home efficiency replacements. Check them out online at heroesheatingandair.com or call 541-821-1615. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Boy, we are so excited to bring back my good friend and producer, Mr. Dan O'Brien from Up Top Productions is going to help us break down our games. But first, we are going to give out our end-of-the-season World of Matchup awards to the NFL players who did not disappoint this year and did disappoint this year. The categories will be Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Most Disappointing Player of the Year, and the Maggie MVP for the gem of the National Football League. Working with me right now, let's welcome in with a big round of applause, Mr. Dan O'Brien from Long Island, New York. What up, son?
Yo!
Oh, man, 50 grand.
What's good?
So fired up for the
good?
National Football League.
Woo!
Spencer and I, we are like Beavis and Butthead over here this morning, man. We are so excited that the regular season is over, and we are about to see some real cream rise to the top. But before we do that, we got to show some love, man. So let's start off with the awards. You can go first. Your Coach of the Year for the National Football League in 2021 is...
Coach of the Year. First of all, I just want to say Flores
got jobbed.
Flores got jobbed. I mean, we talked about it, text message on Monday. I just want to hit on it a little bit. I'm sure you hit on it during the show. But, how can a guy who beat Bill Belichick 2 times in a season lose his job? I can't get over that. I really, it's mind-blowing to me. Is that he was fired before Joe Judge.
Matt Nagy, too.
I can't. Yeah, Nagy, too. Nagy should have been, Sunday night. All right, you just pack it up and go home now. Whatever you need to do an exit interview. Have a nice day. The National Football League, I know we talk about it's all about money. It's all about money. But, this shows it's all about money. Straight up all about money. Some of these owners treat these franchises like they're their toys or their collectibles, and there's no real semblance of an organization. So that's my little rant on Flores.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I had him kind of in the mix for Coach of the Year. I'm looking at a couple other guys Coach of the Year, but I mean, what happened in Vegas this year and the fact they made it to the 5 seed of the playoffs, Bisaccia has to be Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
He's got to be Coach of the Year. To bring that team together, that team could have fallen apart, went home, said, we're done with this year, pack it up, we'll come back next year. To come back and start rolling. And you know me, I was mad at Vegas because they were so up and down earlier in the year.
Yeah.
You lost to the Bears. What?
Washington football team.
Washington, they had so many just games, and now all of a sudden near the end of the year, they're put it together. So people he only coached part of the year. That shouldn't be it. But he coached the most important part of the year, the final part where you determine who makes the playoffs. So for me, it's Bisaccia, and it's not even really close, to be honest.
I like it, man. I like the fire. I like the breakdown behind it. And quite honestly, I have to say that, for this year's World of Matchups Coach of the Year, at first it was a little problematic for me because there's so many good coaches and there's so many amazing things that have happened with some of these coaches. And a couple of weeks ago, Spencer texted basically verbatim what you just said to me, and I was just like, there's no way you can give it to Rich Bisaccia. There's just no way. He hasn't coached enough all year. After watching what happened Sunday night, I will tell you that World of Matchups has now flipped. And the World of Matchups Coach of the Year this year is Mr. Rich Bisaccia. Ladies and gentlemen, give this man a round of applause. So, Right off the bat, Danny and I agree. I think Rich Bisaccia deserved to win this. When you think about what happened with John Gruden, when you think about what happened with Henry Ruggs, when you lose Darren Waller, with Carr basically not having anyone to really throw to, when you consider the DUIs that have taken place, I mean, there has been a litany of soap opera nonsense to hit Vegas this year, and to have this team in the playoffs, I don't see how you could give this to anybody else. I know he only coached a handful of games. Fine. But you tell me what other coach could have this team in a position to not only go to the playoffs, but be in position to win a game. Rich Bisaccia, for me, is a hands-down favorite. And if Mark Davis is smart, this is where it comes in. You go into that locker room right before game time, and you huddle up your players, and you tell them that interim tag is coming off head coach, and then you send them out onto the field in Cincinnati like Braveheart. That man deserves Coach of the Year. He is the World of Matchups pick.
And in the NBA just last year, when Nate McMillan was coaching the Hawks and he was interim coach, once they took the interim tag off, they rolled through the Eastern Conference. I'm telling you right now,
so Rich Bisaccia deserves to be coach of the Vegas Raiders. They shouldn't even be looking for anybody.
He does. He's earned the job. Who you bringing in?
He's earned the job. He's earned the job. Let those guys go out there like Braveheart. Take off the interim tag. Let's do it, Mark Davis. Do it right now.
Do it.
Do it.
Don't be scared. Let's go.
Do it in the locker room right after warm-ups and watch what happens on that field. Next.
Watch the fire.
Comeback player of the year for you is who?
Back and forth. You know, it's really down to, you know, who you prefer. Is it going to be Dak or is it going to be Burrow? Dak to me had too many off games where, you know, you just didn't know what you were getting from him. And, you know, he beat up on the teams he should beat up on, but Joe Burrow the last month or so has just been lights out.
A monster.
Lights out. I mean, he tore up the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense was unstoppable. And he looked like he was playing Madden out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It was insane. So for me, it's going to be Burrow. I mean, he's come back and he's going up a level. You know, it took a while, you know, during the season. They had a couple of bad losses too. Lost to the Jets, though controversial. They had a couple of bad losses, but down the stretch, another team that they knew they had to win and they won the games they had to win. So for me, it's Joe Burrow for the comeback player of the year.
That's good. I went a different route. I went Deebo Samuel. You know, Deebo was out, and he was out to the point where it made everybody look like, you know, wow, we need to take a look at Brandon Ayuk. But the truth of the matter is Brandon Ayuk, while I love the guy, was only so amazing because Deebo wasn't there. Now, Deebo is back. Deebo has taken his game to a different level. Deebo can do everything. Deebo can run the ball from the backfield. Deebo can catch the ball deep. Deebo can run 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 yards for a touchdown. Deebo is big. Deebo is strong. Deebo is the best player on San Francisco, and even when they game plan for him, they can't stop him. The World of Matchups Comeback Player Award for 2021 this year is none other than Mr. Deebo Samuel.
I like that pick because they used him all over the field too. He's not just a receiver. He's a pseudo running back for them
Deebo
too.
And quarterback. There's nothing he can't do.
And yeah, I forgot about that. He threw the quarterback the throw last week.
So just because of the Swiss Army knife, you know, game to him, I took him over Burrow. I knew you were going to take Burrow. It's hard not to take Burrow. Burrow.
It's hard not to, but I can't knock the Deebo pick. That's a good pick too.
Your defensive player of the year for 2021 is.
I know everybody's going to say it. Oh, TJ Watt, he has 22 and a half sacks and blah, blah, blah. Get out and watch the tape. Watch the tape. Every play, Aaron Donald is double-teamed, triple-teamed, and this guy still gets in the backfield. This guy still makes plays. To me, it's a no-brainer, Aaron Donald, for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he gets that whole Rams defense going, and, he opens up the defense for other people to get opportunities. So for me, it's Aaron Donald because you have to devote so much of your offensive line work and your tight end chips and everything to Donald, where if you watch the tape, it's a lot of TJ Watt one-on-one. And some of these sacks were against ham and egger quarterbacks. Let's all be honest with each other.
And there's no doubt about any of that. I think it's kind of like when we look at this Defensive Player of the Year award, it's almost like it's like being able to give LeBron the MVP every year. LeBron could be the MVP every single year. Aaron Donald could be Defensive Player of the Year every single year. My Defensive Player of the Year is TJ Watt for a lot of different reasons. Now, they're a bad defense. Pittsburgh went from great to nothing overnight. But TJ Watt is still dominating. If offensive, linemen, and they don't want to chip, they don't want to scheme, that's on them. This guy is getting to the quarterback. This guy is breaking records, and he missed 2 games. That's huge. Think about what he would have done if he would have played those 2 games. Now, I think it's important to also note how a player looks getting his stats. Aaron Donald this year has been Aaron Donald, but he has also been very average. Let's be honest. TJ Watt was a one-man wrecking crew in the last 3 games. He was unguardable. They had no answer for him. And while some of these quarterbacks are bums and some of the teams that he's playing against are terrible, he still went out and did it. 22.5 sacks with 2 games off, to me, locks you in for Defensive Player of the Year. Again, you can give this to Aaron Donald every single year he's in the National Football League. So I chose to not go the chalk. Ladies and gentlemen, World of Matches Defensive Player of the Year this year is none other than Mr. TJ Watt. And I hope he gets shut down by the Chiefs on Sunday. Next, Offensive Player of the Year. This is a no-brainer, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, this is a no-brainer, and the last 2 weeks of the season didn't prove it, then nothing else will. I mean, no-brainer. You finessed in our fantasy league to get this guy, Jonathan Taylor's offensive player. I mean, wait. No, skip that. It was going to be Jonathan Taylor, but Cooper Kupp is unstoppable.
It cannot be anyone but Cooper Kupp.
It can't be anybody but Cooper Kupp. I started with Jonathan Taylor, and then I said, wait a minute. Cooper Kupp was the Triple Crown winner. Cooper Kupp is open every time he's on the field. Cooper Kupp scores points. Cooper Kupp's everywhere.
Kupp does everything.
And he makes that Rams offense roll. So for me, it's definitely
when you look
Cooper
at some
Kupp,
of his highlights. I mean, I picked Cooper Kupp simply because he has been an unstoppable force in and out of every single game he's been in. A bad game for Cooper Kupp was 8 to 10 catches and 100 yards. A great game for Cooper Kupp was 10 to 12 catches, 2-3 touchdowns, and it's how he's doing it. He gets off the ball. He's shifty. He's not afraid of contact. He catches everything that's thrown his way. The marriage between him and Matthew Stafford has been absolutely brilliant. He is a given. You can force feed him. He'll still get the ball. And the thing about Cooper Kupp that is so good that I don't even understand why the Rams don't do it. They could hand this guy off in the backfield. They could do end arounds with this guy. He's untackleable because he's so quick. His spin moves are great. His body control is great. He's never tired. Have you ever noticed Cooper Kupp on the sideline? Cooper Kupp plays every snap of every game. He's
everywhere.
Cooper Kupp is the field. He is the field. And every now and then there's a player that just has one of those years, man, where you're just like, my goodness, you're never going to see this again. I promise you won't see anything like this from Cooper Kupp next year. He'll be good, but he just, this level, it's all firing. Everything at home's probably good. His family's probably good. He hasn't had COVID. I mean, it's just been his time. And I tell you what, anyhow this guy gets into the Super Bowl, they're going to win because he's unguardable. The guy's nickname is Cooper freaking Kupp. That's all you need to know. So on behalf of Spencer the Wiz, Grab It Television, this year's World of Matchups 2021 Offensive Player of the Year is Cooper Kupp, and it ain't even close.
It's not even close. It's not.
Even close.
And, back to that end around thing, like, it's weird they use the end arounds for Robert Woods. They don't do it for Cooper Kupp. But they don't do it for Kupp.
Why not?
It's really weird that they don't do it.
If they use Cooper Kupp like they use Debo, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Gosh.
Good. I think I just creamed myself.
They would drop 40 every game.
Cooper Kupp's good for 10 points a game. If Cooper Kupp doesn't play, watch a spread. It's insane.
Yeah.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. Let's hear it.
So I had a couple guys. I think in the first half, 3/4 of the year, it was going to be Mac Jones just because of how he was leading the Patriots and how they were rolling. But I kind of feel like Mac Jones slowed down. Then I looked at, maybe, Waddle, because when Waddle played, a lot of people slept on Waddle, but he was getting 9, 10 catches a game at times. But we all know it's Jamar Chase. I mean, it's Jamar Chase. I mean, watch this guy, just the routes he runs. And that play where there were 3 guys around him, he went through them and 60 more yards for a touchdown.
That's the exact highlight we have here. That's the exact highlight that Spencer pulled up. Albeit it's against my team, but, look, flowers deserve flowers. You know what I mean? Like,
we have to appreciate the
Dude,
greatness.
I witnessed greatness. I'm not a hater. You know what I mean? I may not have liked it, but that was the single greatest performance by a wide receiver this year versus a decent defense and a secondary that's known for being ball hawks. Jamar Chase absolutely roasted Kansas City. To this day, that was a couple weeks ago, I still don't think those guys are okay. I really don't. The guy would catch single slants and take it to the house 0 to 60. Like, I swear he was in the end zone before he even caught the ball. He is
crazy, but I know personally 2 people that sat Jamar Chase in their fantasy playoffs because they were playing the Chiefs and the Chiefs defense was red hot.
And I can see why they did, because to their credit,
me too.
The week before, Jamar Chase had 1.8 points. So I get that. You know what I mean? But he has gotten to the point where he is a talent that cannot be sat. He cannot be sat. And I'm worried about Vegas. I'm worried about Vegas this weekend because Jamar Chase is such a threat when he has the ball in his hands. He doesn't have to go deep to get it. He's a halfway field catch guy. But if he can take a single slant route and go 80 yards at any given time. And his afterburners are the best in the National Football League. And he's surrounded by talent, and he's 21 years old. Good Lord. Pencil this kid in every single year. World of Matchups, Up Top Studios, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year is none other than Mr. Jamar Chase. Next, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Let's hear it.
To me, it's another no-brainer
as well.
I mean, where on the field did Micah Parsons not play this year?
Yeah.
He started linebacker, then their whole defensive end unit got wrecked, and he came at defensive end and started wrecking people. Like, Micah Parsons is all over the field.
Micah Parsons is Clubber Lang when he beat Rocky. That's Micah Parsons. That's Micah Parsons.
Yes.
And if you don't think so, you ain't watching football. This guy's only gonna get better. You have to.
He's on the left side.
It doesn't matter.
Right side. He's in
Where
the
do you
middle.
want this guy to play? It doesn't matter.
I was waiting for him to play corner at one point.
You can't. And if you chip him, he's even better. You might as well. Yes. You might as well. If you have to just double him relentlessly, because chipping is a waste of a player. Because he's getting past the tight end. He's getting past him,
and he doesn't. His motor doesn't
stop.
He keeps going. Keeps going.
Where did this guy come from? Like, my goodness, man.
I looked at the draft this morning because I was like, when did he get picked? And I'm like, how did Dallas fall into him? And Dallas traded back to get him.
They must have known something that we at World of Matchups didn't. I slept on Micah Parsons, bro. The guy's absolute
I did
animal.
too. I was like, I thought it was a solid pick, but
not this good.
Not like this.
So
no.
Again, we're in agreement on behalf of World of Matchups, Grab It TV, and Up Top Studios. This year's Defensive Rookie of the Year is Micah Parsons. Mic drop all day, every day, twice on Sunday, and it ain't even close. Unanimous.
No.
Next, most disappointing player in the National Football League this year. The award goes to. This one ain't as easy.
It's not as easy. I'm between 2 guys on this. So I'm between Wentz because they were in the playoffs and he just the second half of the year dropped the ball. Terrible. Like literally dropped the ball. Terrible. But Carolina set their whole team up for Sam Darnold. And terrible too. Sam Darnold just fell apart. Like fell apart.
Yeah.
Like
he was bad.
He was so bad that they dusted Cam Newton off, brought him out there, and said, here you go, try and make something happen. Cam scores one rushing touchdown from the one. I'm back, yeah. And you were all over that. I'm going to give you all the credit. You were all over that. Cam's not back. This is all a show. This is all smoke and mirrors. Anytime he's going to start, next game he starts, they got smoked by Arizona. And Kyler Murray didn't even play in that game.
Sam Darnold. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Sam Darnold to me, because of how Carolina set their whole team up and how they thought this was going to go, I'm going Sam Darnold.
That's neither of those guys were who I thought you were going to pick. I could see Sam Darnold. He wasn't in the equation for me because he did have a good first 5 games, but he's disappointing. And Wentz is really disappointing. I've been saying that for years. No one wants to listen. Y'all are going to learn today. My disappointing player for the year is very easily Kenny Goliday. It's not even close. Kenny Goliday is the absolute bust. People forgot about Kenny Goliday. This guy was being called Babytron. He goes to New York. The minute New York signed him, I said, that's not a good mix. They can't throw the ball deep. This guy is always injured, and that's exactly what happened. I think Henry Ruggs had maybe like 50 yards less receiving than Goliday had all year, and Henry Ruggs is in prison. And the thing that makes him the most disappointing player of the year is when you look at that contract. Spencer, can you look up how much money that the Giants are paying Kenny Goliday, please? It's an absolute disaster.
I think it's like $84 million.
The New York Giants
like that.
have 60% of their cap wrapped up in for like 6 players. And Kenny Goliday leads the charge, and he did nothing. He did nothing.
Nothing.
He should have stayed in Detroit. He should have stayed in Detroit. Kenny Goliday,
I think he had
St. Brown.
500.
Now you got something cooking on the ends. Goff isn't a scrub. Hell, Goff is better than Wentz.
Yes.
The worst player in the league this year by far, Kenny Goliday. Honorable mention, Allen Robinson. Honorable mention.
What happened to that guy? Where did he go?
Matt Nagy cursed that franchise.
Matt Nagy set that franchise back
10 years,
5 years,
10 years
at least.
You're
probably
10.
You're
being too generous. All right,
probably because
our favorite person in the world, the Maggie, Maggie. Shout out Maggie.
Let's
know
go.
We're talking about you.
It's Tom Terrific.
Hard to argue.
I mean, what does this guy not do?
Hard to argue.
Antonio Brown walked off the field in the middle of a game. The Jets go for it on 4th down. I wish that the FanDuel Sportsbook was open in New York that week. The minute they missed the 1st down, I looked at my wife. I said, Tom Brady will now march them down the field. They will win the game.
Exactly what happened.
Watching the game, here's Tom Brady. Boop, boop, and the calmness, Dex, the calmness that this man brings to the field when he's marching down the field. Just like, yep, I'm do it.
To me, this is a 2-horse race. It's him and Aaron Rodgers,
obviously.
And I have a love-hate relationship with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not my MVP. My MVP is Aaron Rodgers, and I will tell you guys why, for a number of different reasons. I've watched Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, and I've watched Aaron Rodgers not with the Packers. And if you take Aaron Rodgers off the Packers, the Jets can beat the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is everything to that team. He throws touchdowns. He has poise. He's more accurate than Brady. He doesn't throw picks like Brady. When was the last time you saw a pick 6 versus Aaron Rodgers? Somebody let me know that. He plays where it's cold. He doesn't have a second wide receiver like Brady. He doesn't have a tight end like Brady. He doesn't have an all-world defense like Brady. I could go on and on and on. Aaron Rodgers is the most indestructible quarterback in the National Football League. He's never hurt. The guy's playing out there on a bum wheel all year long. And don't let the off the field stuff about the coronavirus sway your thinking, folks. I can see why somebody would say Tom Brady is the MVP. Tom Brady's not the MVP. Tom Brady is the GOAT. But this year's MVP should be Aaron Rodgers, and it will be Aaron Rodgers. And if it's not Aaron Rodgers, something is wrong. I watched the Chiefs play the Packers the Packers looked lost without Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Jordan Love looked like he never played football before in that game. He looked like he never played football.
Lost. So, when I think about MVP, I think about who's more valuable to that team in this calendar year with what's happened this year. Brady has overcome some dissension. This is what Brady does, but I think it's a very close nod to Aaron Rodgers. It's not an overwhelming favorite. If we had 58 votes, I think that Brady would get 48 and Aaron Rodgers would get 49, and then some dummy would pick Jonathan Taylor. That's how I see it rolling. All right, folks. Closing thoughts on any of our awards?
No, I mean, I heard something right before we came on. The AP basically voted Rodgers Player of the Year, so that's going to be the MVP. It's the same guys that vote for MVP. It's going to be a clean sweep. And it wasn't close. To be honest,
honestly, it should. Really I don't know. I don't know. They're two different quarterbacks.
I think it should be closer than it was.
Closer than it should be, for sure. All right, we're going to take a commercial break, everybody. That was the award show. We're going to come back, and we're going to give you what you're looking for. You guys want to hear something about some winners and some losers. We're going to break down all the playoff matchups going into Wild Card Weekend with Danny. Stay tuned. You're watching in World of Matchups. I am Dexter Reed. He is Danny O'Brien. He is Spencer the Wiz. We'll see you guys on the flip. All right, guys, we're back. Super Wild Card Weekend. Me and Mr. Danny O'Brien from Up Top Studios, Long Island, New York. We are going to break down every single matchup here for the people, starting with Wild Card Saturday, first game, the Raiders at the Bengals. Who day, excuse me. All right, this is going to be a really good game. It's going to be a really good game. I want to take the Raiders, Danny. I really do. I'm not even going to front. I think after winning a game like they won Sunday night, they're playing with house money, excuse the Vegas pun. I think they've pushed all their chips to the middle of the table. I think the writing is on the wall for Coach Rich Bisaccia to be, rid of that interim, that tag, you know what I mean? And I think it is time for Vegas to show up, and I think they can control the clock and run the ball. All those things being said, I think that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow are going to be too much for the Raiders. I see them winning this game 31-21. I see them covering the spread. But if I'm a betting man, I'm taking that Raiders, and I'm teasing them down. I think T. Higgins has a big game. I think Darren Waller has a big game. I think that you're going to see a lot of offense in this game. But I think ultimately the Cinderella story for the Raiders ends. Your thoughts?
I think this is the toughest game this weekend. I really think so.
I think so too.
I think this is the toughest game. The Raiders are coming in red hot. I mean, that fourth quarter and overtime, if you're a Raiders fan, you must have like 14 heart attacks. Like that was just an insane end of the season. Like to end this season with that game was kind of like the perfect way to end this season because it's just been such a crazy year. To have a crazy game like that was great. My concern at the end of the Kansas City game, Joe Burrow took a hit and he started limping. And this year, more than any other year, it's so hard to get injury updates.
They're not being forthright.
So hard. They're not being forthright. And that's not just Cincinnati. I'm talking every team.
Yeah. Why would they, though?
My one concern is Burrow hurt. Because, he's had knee issues before. Is he hurt? Now, if Burrow's Burrow, then, the Raiders have to run Josh Jacobs into the ground. They have to control the clock. Josh Jacobs has to be on the field. They have to, keep the ball out of the hands of Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they're going to go up top.
They're going to go up top.
They're going to look for Chase. They're going to look for Higgins. They're going to sprinkle in a little Mixon. But I think they're going to try to air it out and try to really, run it up on the Raiders. Now, the Raiders have Crosby, and Crosby's been a beast. If Crosby gets into Burrow's face, that's a problem for Burrow too. So
Ngakoue
think
too.
this is this is gonna be it's gonna be a back and forth game, I think. But I was talking to Pete this morning. You had him on the show a couple of times. He thinks Cincinnati, if they win this game, they're going to the Super Bowl. I said, slow down, buddy. Slow down. Slow your roll. I mean, I know you work overnights, but come on, let's go. But I'm taking the Raiders. I'm rolling with the hot team. I mean, but it's gonna go either way. I mean, nothing's gonna shock me in this game. Unless the only thing that would shock me is that Cincinnati blows them out. I don't see that happening. I see the Raiders. Win a close game. Right, Jacobs gets 120 plus yards, and they find a way to get.
Well, that's
going to
be the key. They have to run Josh Jacobs.
Have
to, and they have been, and he's been producing. Josh Jacobs lately he's been O.J. Simpson.
Marcus Allen.
He's looked great.
Yeah.
And it's like every week, Josh Jacobs career high. You know what I mean? Like Bisaccia has got this dialed in, man. This guy has to be the coach. Like I said, I want to take the Raiders. I just can't see it happening. I think Burrow to Jamar Chase and Burrow to T. Higgins is just going to be way, way too much for them to handle. They got good corners, but they're going to be in some trouble come Saturday. But I do like having the balls to pick the Raiders there. I know you took Josh Jacobs in a lot of our fantasy playoff drafts, so I can't hate on you for it, and I like when people kind of go against what I'm thinking. Pats at Bills, round 3. Whew.
Pats at Bills, round 3. Do you know the Bills have won every game by 12 points?
I think they win this. I think they win this game by 12 points. I do.
Yeah.
And I tell you why.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was groomed for this moment. When Josh Allen was a little boy, wherever he grew up, he was throwing the ball in the backyard with his dad. This is what he was thinking about. He was thinking about everyone saying when they beat the Patriots that it was a fluke, that he's now home, franchise quarterback, been paid up. The whole city of Buffalo is on his back, and he's going to take down the Goliath that is Bill Belichick. This is it. Josh Allen is going to show out Saturday night. Saturday Night Football. He's got his complement of weapons. Devin Singletary is actually running the ball well. Both of the Patriots' backs are banged up. Mac Jones cannot win if he's not playing from in front. Their wideouts are non-existent. I know Bill Belichick is a genius, but you need to have the pieces to play with. And I see this as being a resounding Buffalo Bills W. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game by 12 again. The Bills D just has to slow the run down. We know they can't stop it, but can you slow it down? You know what I mean? Slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up big 50-yard touchdowns, because that's all the Patriots can do is run the rock. That's all they can do. So
right.
You can slow them down, control Mac Jones, just give up small passes. Jacoby Myers ain't doing nothing. N'Keal Harry's the biggest wide receiver bust in the last 10 years. Now you're in their backyard. Buffalo by 10. Again, 31-21. I have spoken. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the Bills run away with this one. They've also gotten Singletary involved in the run game, which is huge for them because they haven't run the ball like previous years in the first part of this year. So if they also get him running with Josh Allen throwing, it's a good matchup for them, because once they get ahead, the Patriots are not built to come from behind. They're not built to come from behind. They're built to milk it and milk a lead. And if the Bills run it up early, this game could get really ugly, really fast.
I agree.
I think the Bills easily in this game.
They've been such a yo-yo team up and down, but at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bills went to the Super Bowl. It just wouldn't, because they're so inconsistent. If they just get a consistent 2 games, 3 games, they're there. They're there. And every team that is in the AFC right now, the Bills can beat.
The Bills can beat everyone.
They just have to get Josh Allen to be the guy that they want him to be, that they paid him all that money to be. And I think they get it here. 10-point win.
And watch out for Gabriel
Davis,
too.
sleeper. They got players, man. Emmanuel Sanders, who's their tight end. Dawson Knox has got hands. They got weapons, and now all of a sudden, don't forget about Singletary. Has been a humongous resurgence. They couldn't run the ball to save their lives. Now they can run the ball.
Nope.
Now they can run the ball. They're using Devin Singletary like Le'Veon Bell in his prime right now. That spells doom for opposing defenses. Bills in a landslide.
Totally agree.
Who's next? Wildcard Sunday. Eagles at the Buccaneers. This is one I don't have really much to talk about. Tom Terrific is going to do what he does. I think while the Eagles deserve to be in the playoffs because they played their way in. They didn't limp their way in. They played their way in. I think they get their doors blown off here. I think the players that you really need to watch here are going to be Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette. Honorable mention, Gronk. We don't want to forget about Gronk. Gronk is an absolute mammoth of a man. There is no bigger red zone threat in the last 50 years inside the 10. Gronk is scoring. Period. End of statement. I just don't think that Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and crew are going to have enough. They don't throw the ball well, and the secondary is Tampa Bay's linchpin. Up front, you ain't running the ball anywhere. Miles Sanders might as well not even get off the bus. I see a resounding 12 to 14-point win for Tampa Bay. Tom Brady was built for these moments, and you're going to see it again. We may give the MVP to Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the playoffs, we may be looking back at it and saying we made the wrong call. Your thoughts?
So Tampa Bay just can't let down here. That's the key. And, last year, remember, Washington had them in a bad spot in that first week of the playoffs. They could have won that game. So Tampa Bay can't relax here. If they relax here, Philadelphia can have a chance. I don't see that happening. But they just have to realize that, we can't, sleep on Philadelphia. We can't, let them hang around. You don't want to let them hang around because with Jalen Hurts, he could run around and do something. You want to get out to lead early. If they get out to lead early, that pretty much takes the run game out for the Eagles, and Tampa Bay should coast. I mean, it shouldn't be much in the game.
This is what they do, man. I know there's been a lot of dissension, a lot of things happening there in Tampa Bay, but as long as the quarterback of that team is Tom Brady, I'm not.
Yeah.
I have a hard time betting.
I'm not worried.
I have a hard time betting against the Buccaneers for the rest of the year. Next,
right.
Niners at the Cowboys. I'm telling you straight up and down, Cowboys are in trouble.
Cowboys are in big
trouble. Y'all haven't looked good for weeks. Let's not act like y'all have been dominating. Cowboys are in trouble. No. This is the worst matchup they could have picked. A team that's got muscle, a team that's not scared to run the ball down your throat, a team that stops to run well, a team that can win on the road, and a team that has Deebo Samuel, which next to Cooper Kupp is the most unguardable player in the National Football League. Dallas has led some turds at home. They lost to Denver. They got destroyed. They lost to Arizona at home. They lost to Vegas in front of the world on Thanksgiving. So let's not act like their home field is some major thing with Jerry's World. Dak has not looked good at all for the last 2 months. Zeke has been banged up. Tony Pollard's been banged up. They seem to forget they have CeeDee Lamb on this team. It's like the best player on their team right now is Dalton Schultz. If you're going to give me that kind of momentum coming into this game, I'm taking the Niners to win a 3-point game and shock the world. I have told everybody for weeks, you cannot let the 49ers get in the playoffs because if you do, they can go to the Super Bowl, and they're going to show you why on Sunday. I'm taking the Niners 3 to 5 points, win on the road.
Niners win this game, they're playing in the NFC title game.
It could happen.
Bottom line, because they have the Packers.
It could happen.
So they win this game, they're going to march into Lambeau. They have confidence. They're going to give the Packers the fight that they don't want to see.
Don't forget, they got Nick Bosa.
And yeah.
People sleep. Don't forget, Nick Bosa's a monster.
He's a monster.
Nick Bosa is better than his brother. Yes, I said it.
Yes.
I said it.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Nick Bosa's a monster, and we forget about him. It's all T.J. Watt.
We do.
It's all Aaron. Dude, Nick Bosa's nobody's little brother here, man. I think Dallas is in trouble. I really do. I don't like them at all this weekend. At all.
I don't like them. It's scary because, like you said, they haven't played well at home. We have Zeke's been banged up, but they keep rolling him out there instead of giving him rest, which I still don't understand.
Guy in the hospital, bro. It's Mike McCarthy. Spencer will tell you all year long I've been riding with Dallas, but it's always been Dallas. But when we get to the playoffs, I just can't trust Mike McCarthy. I just
can't.
I don't trust Mike McCarthy to make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't.
I don't trust Mike McCarthy with clock management. I don't trust Mike McCarthy to make adjustments.
They play their worst football at home.
Yeah,
they play their worst football at home. It wouldn't surprise me if they blew out San Francisco, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think they're the type of team that could turn the switch on like Kansas City. I think they need to kind of momentum their way into it, and I think they're going to have a hard time running the ball. And if they have to throw, man, I think that's a recipe for disaster for them because I do think without Gallup there, that's one less guy you got now. And who's stopping Debo? Micah Parsons versus Debo is going to be the freaking matchup.
That's going to be fun to watch
all weekend long.
And Kittle's still out there.
They got players, man.
Kittle in, Elijah Mitchell's been running well, and
no slouch.
They
stopped the run. They stopped
weapons.
the run, man.
And
they stopped the run. You saw how they embarrassed L.A. They came back down from 17 to beat L.A., who I think is a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. Momentum is everything, folks. They're going into this game knowing they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They're going to play loose while Dallas knows they have to produce. They're going to play tight. Watch the Niners win this game. Next.
Agreed.
Steelers at my Kansas City Chiefs. Not the matchup I wanted. I wanted the Raiders because I wanted to beat up on the Raiders some more. I want to stick it to my neighbors and all my friends at work, but it is what it is. We get the Steelers again. I think that everyone is expecting Kansas City to destroy the Steelers. I am not. I think the Steelers will play well. I think when you beat a team up like that, they have stuff to now look at where we went wrong. I think the Steelers they got players. You know what I mean? They got players. Now, Kansas City, they got players too. And I fully expect Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to be the playoff version of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Tyreek's a little banged up, but they got Byron Pringle. They got good players. McCall Hardman's no slouch. Darrell Williams, I'm telling you right now, he could be this year's Damian Williams. The guy is a stud. CEH will be back. Chiefs know that they can't let up here. You know what I mean? They're the 2 seed. They went to the Super Bowl as the 2 seed. Everyone else will have played. It's Sunday night football. The whole world is watching. Mahomes lives for this. I don't see them losing this game. Big Ben is a statue. They can't throw downfield. The only chance they have of winning this game is if Najee Harris goes bananas, and I just can't see it. Kansas City's got enough firepower to win this game at home. I think guys like Chris Jones will have their say. You know what I mean? I think Melvin Ingram will have his say. I think Frank Clark will have his say. And I think the Chiefs go away with a 8 to 10 point lead. I don't think they cover the spread. The Chiefs never cover the spread. And I think Pittsburgh is going to play hard for Ben in potentially his last game. Your thoughts?
I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think, and it's going to be a little nerve-wracking at times.
It always is with Kansas City.
It always is because Kansas City kind of likes to let these teams hang around. And then Patrick Mahomes, decides, okay, now I'm ready, and scores a touchdown late and, puts it away. But I think Pittsburgh's going to be in the game for most of the game. I really do. I think Harris is going to run well. I think they're going to get Deontay Johnson's going to have at least 10 targets. Yeah, what he does with them, I don't know.
Monster.
But he's a target monster. I think Freiermuth is back. If Freiermuth is back, that helps
them. They got a good O.
Claypool. They have a lot of offense.
Just
but the key to Mahomes, as you know, you got to get in his face. If TJ Watt can get in his face,
problematic.
Then that's going to be a problem.
They're going to have to double.
It's going to be a problem. They have
double.
To.
Kelsey may have to chip.
Get
They're going to have to. They're going to have to. You cannot. You've seen what's happened with the cover shell, too, that they've been playing against Mahomes and the Chiefs this year. They're forcing the Chiefs to methodically work their way down the field. and you have to paper cut teams to death to score now. There's no more of these 80-yard bombs anymore. And so if they have to play that kind of game, that works in Kansas City's favor as well, because now they're leaving you no clock to score. It's pick your poison.
True.
I think all the Chiefs need to do is slow down Watt, and they should be in good shape. But as you know and I know, this is the Chiefs, and they're like the Raiders too, man, where they don't do anything easy, and they want to send you to the hospital with blood pressure issues. And I could easily see – I think 12.5 points is an absolute slap in the face. And if you're a gambling man,
lot of points.
Take Pittsburgh in the points or tease them down. There's no way the Chiefs are covering that. And if they do, I'll come on next week and I'll apologize to all of Chiefs Kingdom. Finally.
Yeah, but it's a close game.
Monday Night Football in the playoffs? What?
What? What is this?
Los Angeles
NFL
Rams play their first playoff game. Might as well be a neutral field site because that stadium doesn't garner any of their own fans. Versus,
did you hear about
ridiculous,
that,
bro? Anytime you play at SoFi, it's neutral field. There were more Niner fans. There were more Niner fans there than Rams fans last week. What a disgrace.
Did you hear Stafford's wife is like, please don't sell tickets to anyone from Arizona?
Shut her up, man. She must be hanging out with Mahomes' wife. I can't stand these
must
big mouth wives, man. Shut up and let your husbands play.
Can't.
They play,
exactly.
You go shopping. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Monday night. This game is a game that's going to be closer than people think, too.
Yep.
I'm here to tell you.
Yep.
Nobody is giving the Cardinals a shot to win this game. I think they can win. Do I think they will win? I don't. Why do I think they won't win? Because of Cooper freaking Kupp and Matthew Stafford. That's it. That's it. Now,
that's the key, right?
Are we going to get good Stafford or bad Stafford?
Well, that's
you know what I mean. Bad Stafford is Carson Wentz. Good Stafford is Joe Montana. Cooper Kupp's going to do what he does regardless. But can we stop pushing the ball downfield to Odell Beckham? This is not Odell Beckham 2015. This is Odell Beckham slants. He runs at 80 yards. When you push the ball to Odell Beckham, you look at the last 5 picks that Stafford has thrown. They're all being thrown to Odell downfield. And then Odell Beckham is punching somebody in the ass. Like, stop force-feeding this guy the ball. Give Sony Michel the run.
Yeah.
Use Sony Michel. Sony Michel is a slept-on gem. Let Aaron Donald be Aaron Donald, and you'll win this game by 7 points. Your thoughts?
Stafford can't throw pick sixes in this game. That's the key. You can't throw these pick sixes that he's been throwing at times this year, like you said, forcing the ball to Odell. Like, use Kupp, work Kupp, you run Michel, work Higbee in at tight end. If you have, a play for Odell where he's wide open, get him the ball there, but stop with the force feeding. It's not going to work in the playoffs.
It's not. And
I'd feel better if DeAndre Hopkins was playing for Arizona.
I would pick them if he was playing because they've proven that they can beat the Rams.
Better.
Let me tell you something. The Cardinals and the Niners, they ain't scared of the Rams.
No,
at all.
They're not
at all. They beat the Rams
all
the time. And so, if I'm a betting man, I'm obviously taking the points. But I think that this is about the Super Bowl and getting there, and I think the Rams show up at home.
Yeah, and my only problem with the Cardinals, they just let Seattle score 500 points last week.
I loved Seattle last week. I think the Cardinals are a sham. I think on defense, J.J. Watt will be back, but J.J. Watt's 400 years old. And I also can't take.
Yeah, J.J. Watt will be back for a quarter.
I don't think you can take the Cardinals here simply because that their horses are hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Edmonds is not 100%, and James Conner. My car runs better than James Conner right now, and my car is a freaking soccer mobile. It's bad, and so you know what I mean. Like I'm making hand signals left and right. So I really like the Rams here to win. I don't think it'll be a huge win. I think it'll be a 7-point win.
No,
but this is a game that they're supposed to get. But don't make a mistake, man. There is no home field at SoFi at all to be spoken of.
No.
And if this was like the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling there, where you have those fans that travel well or the Chief fans that travel well, they'd be in trouble. It could be more like –
even the Niner fans.
It could be like 50-50, 60-40, not in their favor. I mean, Stafford's complaining he can't hear in the huddle because the opposing team is making too much noise in your home stadium. That, my friend,
that
is
can't
disgusting, and you probably should have stayed in St. Louis. All right, man. That's it. That's the breakdown, everybody.
All right.
Damn, that was fun. Well, thank you for coming on and rolling through that with us. I know it's a much longer show, but this is the playoffs, folks, now. You know what I mean? You guys want the information, so we're going to bring it to you. So hopefully you don't have to listen to me run my yap. You can listen to Spencer and Danny a little bit, too. On behalf of Spencer the Wiz and Grab It Television, Danny, we'd like to thank you for coming on. And we thank you so much for sewing into us the way you did this year. Coming on, sewing into us financially. You know, a lot of people don't realize what it takes to do this. You know what I mean? Rebuilding this thing from the ground up, man. Spencer doesn't sleep sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes at 3 a.m. I'm on the bull with my iPad studying, like to bring a quality.
You've been. I've seen you up
man,
early.
To bring quality
stuff.
content to the people, you have to be like Black Adam Schefter, and that's what I'm attempting to be for you guys, with my own little flair to it and a little touch that Spencer brings. So we want to thank you for coming on, man. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Dan O'Brien, Up Top Studios, a round of applause, man. Enjoy the games this weekend, bro. We look forward to having you on again.
Thanks, brother. Yep, I'll be talking to you, definitely.
All right, everybody, that's the show. Before we end, we want to let you know again that we're on social media everywhere. You know what I mean? Don't play yourself by not going on social media, liking, subscribing, knowing where we're at, knowing what we're doing. We want to bring you the information, but we can't do it unless you plug into us, so please do. We appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us all year, and thank you for watching our first Wildcard Weekend show in our inaugural season of World of Matchups. Before we go, I'd like to go over my picks for the weekend. World of Matchups is taking Day and the Bengals, the Buffalo Bills to win big, the Bucks to win big. I like the Niners here. I wrote the Cowboys here, but I like the Niners. I'm taking the Niners. I'm flipping there. The Chiefs, obviously, that's my team. And I like the Rams to win a close game at home. As the playoffs go on, we'll continue to bring other people on to break these games down with us. But once again, we want to thank you guys for all your support, you know, really from the bottom of our hearts. Spencer and I, we really love doing this, but it's a lot of work, you know what I mean? And to consider continuing to do it, it takes a lot of effort, and we want to do that for you as long as you guys support us. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts again. Enjoy Wildcard Weekend. If you're gambling, be careful out there. Don't lose your mortgage. Don't lose your wife. And just remember that, you know, on behalf of Spencer, The Wiz, Grab It Television, and myself, Dexter Reed, you have been watching the most comprehensive and progressive uncensored television sports show to hit the big screen this year. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching World of Matchups. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next week. We out.